Palestinian-born activist threatened by Saudi Arabia has spoken to the media pleading for the safety of his family. Iyad el Baghdadi is living in Norway under asylum, and authorities there alerted him to a threat determined by the CIA. Now, Baghdadi left his home on April 25th and has been taken to a secure location.
It is not surprising in the least that MBS would be going after dissidents. Now, some may be wondering why MBS would still be out to target dissidents after the backlash after Jamal's murder. Some would point to the shameful lack of accountability, and of course they'd be right. I've been advised by security experts that my family is a soft target and that securing their safety is of utmost priority. I can no longer travel to see them. I need to bring them here for them to be safe. Last week, the Norwegian Ministry of Justice was informed, and I'm told that the deputy minister said that their case is being examined immediately. I'm grateful for any and all efforts to secure my family's safety. Norway, please bring my family to safety, please.
Well, for more, our Turkey analyst Yusuf Erim joins me now live in the studio. Thanks for coming in. First of all, do we know anything more about what the CIA determined exactly, to conclude that al-Baghdadi was actually in danger in Norway?
Well, during his press conference, Mr. al-Baghdadi didn't give any details on how the CIA determined he was in danger, but we can see this danger is not a recent development. The prominent Palestinian activist stated during the press conference that he had already expressed concern to his Norwegian friends all the way back in February. In March, he filed a complaint with the Oslo police, and on April 25th, when the Norwegian authorities showed up at his house, he wasn't surprised that they had come there. He later found out that this intelligence was passed on to the Norwegians via the CIA. But one of the reasons why he feels he was targeted is because he's Palestinian. Now, as the deal of the century rolls around, he stated that Saudi Arabia and their propaganda machine are doubling down on Palestinians and trying to put pressure, trying to show them as treasonous, money-grabbing, ungrateful, disloyal people, and trying to make a case domestically that Palestine's not worth supporting, and any type of deal they get is more than they deserve. And this is a narrative that Saudi Arabia is trying to push domestically, and people like Iyad el Baghdadi are very detrimental to that narrative that Saudi Arabia is trying to push.
Right. I mean, they can push that narrative, but the bottom line is, would they actually risk anything, though, with the shadow of Khashoggi still looming so large over Saudi?
Well, going after someone as high profile as Iyad right now with the shadow of Khashoggi is beyond reason, beyond logic. And when you take into account that after this whole Khashoggi assassination, nobody's been held accountable in Saudi Arabia, what's really stopping them? Now, we saw that in his press conference, he was pleading for help for his family's safety, that his family is a soft target. And this story is similar to the many stories I've heard from the Arab dissidents living in Turkey. Many of them are afraid to speak up because they're afraid of what will happen to their families back in Saudi Arabia, back in Egypt, back in the Emirates. So this is a big concern for these people. And he also stated in his press conference, which I thought was one of his most important messages, that MBS embodying Arab tyranny, that that the fear is driving paranoia. And while these Arab states, there's failed states, economic chaos going on, civil wars, proxy wars, but at the same time, he said there's hope. At the same time, there are popular uprisings, popular resistance. And he gave this optimism that this is a sign of the beginning of a domestic transition, which hopefully, I hope is true, that definitely they can use some democracy in the Gulf states right now.
And if there is another silver lining potentially here, could be the fact that calling attention to his case also brings his family now into the public focus. So perhaps there is more attention and therefore protection for them. Definitely,
the more light you can shine on himself and his family, the higher political cost it will be for MBS to target him. And especially as Khashoggi is still fresh on the minds of everybody, it's going to now be very, very hard for MBS to do anything against Iyad el Baghdadi. But that does not mean that other dissidents are not in danger as well. There's many important voices speaking out who have the courage and who are risking the safety of themselves and their families to enlighten us and show us what's going on in countries like Saudi Arabia and Egypt. And it's very important that these authorities protect these people that are talking out. It's very important that the free world, these Western states, start getting on the right side of history and start holding Saudi Arabia accountable for what they're doing.
Right. Okay, Yusuf, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for coming in.